Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. That voice you hear being very tired. You're just keyed up about this movie. You're feisty about it.
I'm really upset with everyone. I feel like everyone fucking lied to me.
I'm Jay Light. This is Lisa Curry.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, Lisa. Happy to have you on. I've been wanting to have you on for a while.
Oh, cool.
And I saw your opinion. You tweeted out how much you hated this movie, and I was like, bingo, this is the one. Let's get you on. We're talking about Lady Bird.
What a pile of shit this movie is. Are you kidding me? And here's what's upsetting more than this is that somebody who I think is funny replied to my tweet about Lady Bird, and he's like, no, it's good. And I was like, what's wrong with you? I can't. I'm so mad.
People got real behind this movie. And I had a hard time trusting people's opinions about this movie once it came out. Yeah. Because I remember seeing trailers for it, and I was like, oh, yeah, this is like a quirky indie movie. I like Greta Gerwig. I think it's like, this probably be like up my alley. Yeah. And then I watched it, and I was like, that's it? This is the movie everybody's like freaking out about? Yeah. What happened?
I don't understand.
What's the deal?
I will say it came out before 8th grade, right?
Yes.
So I think people were craving something like 8th grade because 8th grade was great. Mm-hmm. That nailed the whole. You agree, right?
Oh, 8th grade. 8th grade is one of my favorite movies. It's so good, and it's so different. That's for me, one of the things I don't like about Lady Bird is that it is ultimately a really stock movie. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think, because it was written and directed by and directorial debut by a young woman. Everybody was like, "Oh, we're gonna fawn over. She's an indie darling already. Yeah, this is the time. Let's make it happen." She gets it.
Yeah, I didn't look up who wrote it, and I feel kind of like I'm being really mean because we're both writers, and I'm like, buy my stuff, but also that was so bad, and the movie all the way through felt like a 40-year-old man writing about what it feels to be a teenage girl. And I was like, this is so fucked up and stupid.
It does. And unfortunately, Greta Gerwig is a 35-year-old woman from Sacramento. And she wrote and directed it. This is her debut.
It's really, maybe she's forgotten or maybe the main character wasn't anything like what Greta was like in high school. And so she was like, I don't know, maybe this is what it feels like to be an outsider.
Maybe.
Like, I don't know what the fuck went wrong. The acting is good. The dialogue is so bad. Yeah. It's so bad. It's like too self-aware. Like, instead of just showing, sorry, I'm like really going, I'm not even giving you a second to say anything.
No, fine, please. You're the guest. Explain. Talk your opinion. Talk your shit.
I feel like instead of showing us they're frustrated because of whatever, she would be like, I'm frustrated because, like, it would just be so clearly stated, like, I'm frustrated because you don't give me my space, and I'm a teenager, and what I need most is space right now. And it's like, what teenager is like, I'm a teenager, and therefore, and like pontificates on like what a teenager is really yearning for psychologically. Like, that's not fucking happening.
I've never met a teenager who actually is in touch enough with their own feelings and has a relationship with their parents where they can express those feelings.
And like the mother-daughter relationship didn't make sense because like she's mad at her and then she's not mad at her, and then she's explaining to her that her dad lost her job, and then the only shot of the dad I remember even was him just like sitting and playing solitaire, and like I've already forgotten so much of the movie because it was so bad.
Let's explain. If somehow you missed this movie, by the way, and you hadn't seen Lady Bird,
bother. See 8th grade instead.
You're not wrong. It's a 2017 American coming of age comedy drama film. Written and directed by Greta Gerwig, starring Saoirse Ronan, Laurie Metcalf, Tracy Letts, Lucas Hedges, Timothy Chalamet, Beanie Feldstein, Stephen McKinley Henderson, and Lois Smith. Set in Sacramento, California in 2002. It's a coming of age story of a high school senior and her turbulent relationship with her mother. Earned 5 nominations at the Oscars, was chosen by one of the 10 best films of the year, got nominated for Best Picture, Best Actress, Best Supporting Actress, Best Original Screenplay, and Best Director. Won Best Motion Picture, Musical, or Comedy at the Golden Globes, and Best Actress for Saoirse Ronan. And yet,
who is their fucking PR team? Because
they have very good publicists on this movie.
Incredible publicists. First of all, Laurie Metcalf is amazing. She's always amazing.
She's great in this movie. She's the best part of the movie for sure.
For sure. But I was wondering the whole time, I'm like, because, she does a lot of, she's a classically trained actor and she does a ton of theater. And I'm wondering, is she saying these lines and being in her head, is she like, what the fuck?
For what's as far as that she just has to say this garbage dialogue.
Yes, I wonder if she's just like, is this a fucking joke? I can't believe my agent is making me do this. She's on Broadway right now. I think she's probably just done with movies and television after this. She's probably like,
maybe
fuck that.
Between this and she was on the Roseanne reboot too, right?
Yeah.
So between having to deal with both of those.
No.
Well, Laurie Metcalf is you bowed out. You bowed out at the right time, and I'm
She's
trying
like,
to
if
pull
you
up.
could get me a Subaru commercial, I'll do that because those are actually well written.
So okay, and for context sake, you are late to the party on this movie.
Yeah,
late to this is the worst party of all time. By the way, this is you were not. You showed up late to this party, and the party is no longer happening. And
and I was like,
with.
I wasn't actually invited by teenagers. Yikes, this is really bad.
Right? How did you wind up watching this, and what was it like for you watching it? And were you slowly filling with rage as the movie went on?
Well, I ended up watching it just because it was on Amazon, and I was like, I should watch more movies because I've seen 9 movies ever. And then so I just turned it on, and I kept trying to give it time. I was like, maybe it's just not finding its legs. But then it was just weirdly self-aware, and I also didn't buy the whole Lady Bird thing. It just seemed so out of place. And by the way, not that the main character's experience has to be the same as mine for it to be believable.
Right.
But I feel like if in a household where your parents are not on board with you being artsy at all, if you came home and said, call me Lady Bird, they'd be like, you sleep outside. Go away. Please get away from me, you fucking idiot child. I can't believe you're my child. This is so embarrassing. My parents didn't even like me being remotely artsy. So if I was like, call me Lady Bird, they'd be like, okay, you fucking idiot.
Because that's how real parents turn down your dreams. It's so I remember because one of the big plot points too is her getting into college and her being afraid of getting into, I forget what school she gets into.
She goes to NYU.
That's right.
Which is great because it does have the highest suicide rate in the country. So I'm looking forward to the fucking sequel for this.
Lady Bird learns to fly, jumping off a building. But that's the whole. But she's hiding these college acceptance letters.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. Because they're gonna what are you gonna do? You're going to you can't. I feel like it's a bad example of writing to have a character really try and get it both ways, where they get to be this weird artsy kid trying to flourish in their hometown but actively hating their town,
right,
and not wanting to be involved in it, and also lashing out against their parents,
right.
There's too much going on.
There's way too much, especially when her mom seemed to be begging her the whole movie to do something to make us proud. I would think getting a scholarship would make her proud.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but that didn't seem to match up. And then when she did get into the school and she got a scholarship, I think by then I was so mad and disconnected that I wasn't really paying attention. But like, so she gets this scholarship to NYU and her mom's mad about it. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't. There's no world in which a family okay, I went to college out of state, and I remember there was a discussion where because I was very much like, I want to get out of Texas. I want to go be somewhere where my parents can't drop in on me unexpected. I want to make a plan for it. And my mom definitely didn't like that, but she understood it.
Yeah.
What kind of and my mom is in the classic like comedy vein of being a mom who's really doting, right? It's either one or the other. You're either like super helicoptery or very like absent. Those would feel like the two extremes.
Yeah.
And my mom was definitely sort of in that more like helicoptery vein, but she was also like, okay, I get it. This mom reminded me, Laurie Metcalf reminded me a lot of my mom. Until the parts where she was like, you can't, this is offensive to me that you're getting a scholarship to a school and you are going to go be successful potentially.
Also, I don't believe that some completely average girl is getting a scholarship to NYU just by calling herself fucking Lady Bird. Like, she didn't do, in the entirety of the movie, did she do anything artistic or outstanding?
Well, she makes Sacramento sound nice.
Sure.
That's impressive, I guess.
Also, I don't buy then when she does go off to school and there's that big blow up with her mom and her mom's mad that she left and it's like this big fake thing and then her mom doesn't say bye to her at the airport or whatever. There's that, but then
I'm remembering all that now. Oh my God.
The day she gets to, which was in Sacramento. I don't even remember why she was in Sacramento. That doesn't make any sense to me. But the day she gets there, she's writing this whole, or maybe she was in New York and her mom had been in, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Just don't watch it. So she's like writing this whole like really emotional, again, very self-aware letter to her parents of like, this is where I'm at now. And this is what it was written like from the perspective of somebody 10 years later looking back and realizing that maybe they were a little mean,
right?
But it had been 3 hours.
When you're, there's nobody who is that young who has the wherewithal to like reflect effectively.
No,
like I'm looking at some of the dialogue now because of how it's so. This is an exchange between Marion McPherson and Christine Lady Bird McPherson. I forgot her name was Christine this whole movie.
Yeah,
Marion, I want you to be the very best version of yourself that you can be. Christine, what if this is the best version?
Oh, it's so derivative. It like makes me mad.
It's so tropey.
It's so tropey. It also made me mad because it like made me mad at myself because I was like, this is like what I would write and think is deep the first year I started writing something. Like, what if this is the best version of me? Shut the fuck up. Shut up.
There's something to be, I mean, that I think you really hit the nail on the head with that, I think. Because there's like this, I remember writing stuff about in this sort of vein where it's like, I feel like everybody has a coming of age story that they want to try and get out.
Yeah.
And I remember writing my version of that, and I haven't read it in years, but there are probably a lot of lines that are in that vein.
Oh yeah.
That I would look back on now and gag.
Oh yeah. Anything
it.
that I thought was like so deep and emotional, looking back, I'm like, oh, disgusting. There's also, this is another thing. Two things. One, it didn't seem like it was supposed to be set in the late 90s.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get that except for from the music, and they were listening to all the music I listened to in high school, except visually and everything. They were they were more like millennials, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
It was like a lot of Dave Matthews Band and I was like, what the fuck? But then the kids had cell phones, and I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. I didn't have a cell phone until after I was out of high school.
Right.
So that kind of didn't match up.
There's a lot of this. There's a lot about this movie that doesn't make, if you really unpack it, or even you don't even have to unpack it that much.
Yeah.
You can just glance at this movie and be like, this doesn't make any fucking sense.
Yeah.
if Lady Bird comes from a strict, every time I say that name, I don't feel good saying it.
Yeah.
If she comes from a strict household where they don't like her getting a scholarship to a college and don't want her don't want her being artsy, but somehow are okay with the name Lady Bird, they're definitely not going to be the kind of parents who are going to let her have a cell phone.
Yeah.
That's just you can't have it both
and
ways.
It felt like some of I don't remember the other music that was in there. It was all like late 90s stuff. But I remember the Dave Matthews Band feeling like the music was in place of actual good scenes. Like the music was supposed to tell us part of the story. And I fucking hate that because it's so lazy when people do that. And it's like the title of the song is like, I'm just trying to grow, Mom, you know?
Well, I talked about this when I talked about A Star Is Born with Mike Lawrence. Is there's so much in A Star Is Born in particular that does that exact same thing.
Yes.
Where the songs are so on the nose that the lyrics themselves are saying how the person is supposed to feel. Like I understand doing that in a Broadway musical because that's
a musical.
Exactly, it's a musical.
Yeah.
It's within the device. But in a movie like Lady Bird, where the soundtrack, I guess like Garden State, right? Garden State, the soundtrack is just an important part of the movie. And I feel like they might have been trying to do that with Lady Bird. But even in Garden State, they have the ability to like pull back a little bit and just make it tonally make sense.
Right.
And not hit you over the head with, hey, we're going to explain exactly how you should be feeling through song titles and through lyrics.
I've actually given notes to friends on scripts and given them very harsh notes about doing that. 'Cause I've had a couple of friends that were like, and then, whatever song fucking plays. And I'm like, yeah, that's really lazy. You find something else or say, like a 70s song or whatever. You can't, it's like so corny. Also, it's so dumb. It's like if there was like a beach scene and you see a woman and there's just like a shot of her legs and then there's the fucking Van Halen song, fucking Drop Dead Legs. It's
right.
Like you can't do that.
It's like
it's so awful.
If you go to a diner and then the song Cherry Pie comes on while you're eating a slice of cherry pie.
You do have to get up and start stripping.
You do. And then you fall in love with the waitress and you strip and then they're like, hey, we're going to go
it's so bad.
Make sweet love in the bathroom, just like you do in a diner. There's a lot of this movie. Okay. So there's some other stuff here going on. I think that is designed in sort of in a way that's like, okay, we're going to make quirky choices because we have a quirky lead. What do you think about if is doing stuff like that furthering or hurting this movie's cause? Like because there's obviously the trope of being like a manic pixie dream girl, right? Do you think having someone be like a troubled, turmoil teenager going through all her shit inside, and then also having her be, I'm gonna call myself Lady Bird instead of my real name. I'm gonna hang out with be as artsy as I can and
felt
be
like
a tree.
Lady Bird was too much. Oh, I'm remembering some other things too. Sorry. Okay. I think you could still make her awkward because people are awkward, but it has to feel more honest or like there's a reason. Like, was there ever an explanation for why she was going by Lady Bird?
Not that I can remember. I don't think there is.
I remember her just pulling it fully out of her ass. I don't remember there being any kind of like,
Yeah, she basically just throws it in there. It doesn't seem like there's an actual reason.
And they're two names that aren't. I think it's pretty common for kids to be like, oh, my name is embarrassing. Call me Brian instead of Wolfgang or whatever the fuck. Like that's pretty common for kids. But
I'd
like to just come up with a 2-part name that's two things that are not names.
But it's got culture. That's all Lady Bird wants.
So yeah, I don't understand it. And I also if she's an outcast in her school, the kids in her school are definitely not on board with it. Like there's no way. There was no scenes of her like getting made fun of for being called Lady Bird. I don't think.
Yeah, no, there definitely aren't because
you would be roasted to fucking death.
Yeah. She's she's trying to fit in all these groups and it doesn't make. That's the kind of thing that like I remember in watching 21 Jump Street when there's that whole subplot of like the cool kids are also like environmentally conscious, and it's weird because this is not the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
In this movie, she's trying to hang out with like the rich girls, and then all of a sudden something changes and she's like, I'm not on board with this anymore. But it doesn't make sense for a character to be on board with it in the first place. Right?
Yeah.
Like, why are you trying? Okay, yeah, sure. I get you look at the nice houses and you want to see the nice houses. Then why are you abandoning your friends to try and go do that? Why?
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. I don't get. It feels too all over the place.
Yeah. Well, and the relationship between her and the cool girl seemed like oddly accelerated. Like she just wanted to be cool, and then all of a sudden, in an instant, the cool girl went from being like, ugh, whatever, you fucking weirdo, when they were at some party or whatever, to instantly being like, hey, I showed up at your house so we can hang out. I'm like, this would never happen.
Right.
This would literally never happen. This is so insane. It doesn't.
Well, it's like in 8th grade too.
Yeah.
Which does this, I think, better.
Yeah.
Where she gets invited to the cool girl's party, and the cool girl's rolling her eyes. The mom's the one who invites her. And
that's more true to life.
It's extremely true to life.
That made me like want to barf a little bit. I was like, no.
I mean, her showing up and going to the party and then immediately going into the bathroom and having a panic attack.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't want to be there. You don't want to walk in this world.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to ostensibly, but you have no idea how to.
Yeah.
It feels like that is a much more defined character that we have going on in 8th grade. Lady Bird is trying to do too many things as a character.
Yeah.
I think because she's trying. I think part of what I think why people really like this movie is because they're like, I identify with it. But I identify with it is because there's literally everything you can do to identify with it. There's no shade of this doesn't feel like what my experience was.
Right.
She's across the board. Everything is like, oh yeah, I get that. I get that. I get that. There's no spot where you can be like, oh, I don't understand that choice. I don't understand why she's acting like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm going to jump to something else.
Jump, please.
Popped in my head. The whole every piece of the story that happens with the nuns, I don't believe either. Like when they decorated the nun's car, like just married to Jesus, the entire car is decorated. It's like the car is pulled forward into a parking spot in this like school parking lot. They decorate the entire back of the car. They cover up the window. It's like this huge sign that says just married to Jesus with these streamers on it and whatever. And then the nun calls Lady Bird into her office, and she's like, am I in trouble for the decorating the car because I didn't do it? And she's like, no, I thought it was really funny, and we didn't even notice until we were home or whatever it was. And I was like, you did. If I fucking walked out to my car right now and it was covered in streamers, I think I would notice. I hope I would notice.
And hey, this is just married
especially
to Jesus.
if I left while it was still light out. Yeah, like that made no sense. It made no sense that the nun was like, don't worry about it. It was a funny prank. Like. I'm like, do you know Catholics? I feel like I don't know Greta Gerwig's background, but I'm like, I feel like maybe you're a Jew, like trying to guess what Catholicism is, because Catholic nuns are fucking mean as hell. It's not they're like not playing around.
I have never met a Catholic nun, but this is the first time I've ever seen one portrayed as someone who enjoys a good joke.
Yeah.
It's not part of Catholicism.
Especially a joke about Jesus.
Oh yeah,
there's no way.
Why are you? She's gonna in any other movie. If this was a realistic movie, she would have gotten beaten with a ruler in the office,
or they would have called her parents at
something
least,
would have
or
happened.
something.
This would have been a compelling direction for the movie to go in. Yeah. And yet, no,
it just
Lady
gets
Bird,
really dark. They lock her in a fucking basement.
Yeah. Hey, you got to read the Bible. You got to do 500 Hail Marys, and you're not coming out of the basement until then. This movie really took a turn. Oh, I can see why it got so. Everybody's all about it. She came out on the other side. That's something. That's at least like, okay, we see you struggle, and we see you change and grow.
Yeah.
It does.
Here's another thing that doesn't make any sense. If you can figure this one out for me, Jay, when
I'll do my best.
Lady Bird does leave to go to college, she takes everything off the walls in her bedroom and repaints it. She packs up every last item in her bedroom and repaints it. Does that sound normal to you for leaving your house for college?
Nope.
When your parents still live at that house?
There's still shit at my parents' house that I haven't moved out of my old room.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Same for you?
Who the fuck? Well, that's another story. No. No, but that's because here's the thing. I had stuff at I lived with my grandma for a while. And my mom's side of the family is very, very, very Catholic. And
Gotcha.
So my grandma's on my mom's side. And I lived with her for years. Had all my childhood stuff at her house. And then I made a joke about Jesus, and my family kicked me out of Christmas dinner and made me get all of my stuff out of the house.
Oh,
so that's
yikes.
More like, I mean, this is an extreme level of Catholicism where like, it's not funny to make fun of Jesus or religion. And so it's like,
right.
Okay, I mean, you can throw me out of Christmas dinner because I think you guys are mentally ill for your level of dedication to the church. But also like whatever. That's just my experience. But this is all to say also it made it so much more unbelievable to watch the nuns be like, we love a good joke about Jesus.
I think that your story is more compelling though. That's the thing. It's like I'm reading some of the stuff here, some of the quotes about the way this movie got made. And there's this part where they're like, this is a semi-autobiographical. And if this is autobiographical, here we go. Yeah. This is a quote from Greta Gerwig. Although the film has been described as semi-autobiographical, Gerwig has said that nothing in the movie literally happened in my life, but it has a core of truth that resonates with what I know. She told Sam Levy, director of photography in the film, that she wanted it to feel like a memory, and that she sought to offer female counterpart to tales like The 400 Blows and Boyhood. If this is supposed to be like a snapshot and a memory of your childhood, this is boring as fuck.
This is so boring. Go back. Well, and also it's not, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not like vulnerable at all. There's no, life is uncomfortable. I feel like if you're watching a movie that's supposed to like really get to the core of our existence as people, like you should feel uncomfortable at parts of it. And there was no part where I was like, ooh, like you're watching 8th grade and you're like, I want to leave the theater right now.
Right.
This is horrifying, but in the best way, because it is very vulnerable, but this isn't at all. This is like, it's also like very protected emotionally. It really,
and that's now I'm going to look at some of the reviews of this movie because it has a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'm going to punch a hole in your wall.
Please don't. We just put these nice posters up. The website's critical consensus reads, Lady Bird delivers fresh insights about the turmoil of adolescence.
It does not.
And reveals debuting writer-director Greta Gerwig as a fully formed filmmaking talent. Some of the high praise, exceptionally well written, full of wordplay and lively argument. Every line sounds like something a person might actually say.
This is the exact inverse of everything I think about it.
A triumph of style, sensibility, and spirit. A full-blown triumph. They call this movie a triumph a lot. Greta Gerwig. The Greta Gerwig the actor skillfully pivots between the wacky and the poignant, so it's no surprise that Gerwig the auteur so delicately balances hilarity and heartbreak. This movie's supposed to be really funny. All these reviews of this movie talk about how funny this movie is. Did you laugh?
I didn't laugh at all.
I also did not laugh watching this movie.
And I don't find it heartbreaking either. What's fucking heartbreaking? So you had a whatever existence, and then you went to college?
I guess having a fight with your mom is heartbreaking and not just something that fucking happens.
That was another thing. I had some girlfriends that were like, this really sums up the mother-daughter experience. And now looking back, I wish I would have kept a list of them because I don't want them in my life anymore. I'm like, I can't stand you.
It's just like, on a level of engagement with your audience, there's nothing about this story. The reason, I mean, I think there's a reason why everybody's like, Laurie Metcalf does a great job in this movie.
Because they're like, literally don't look at anything else in the movie.
Yeah. If this movie followed Laurie Metcalf and was her story instead of Saoirse Ronan's story and Lady Bird's story, I think this would be a way better movie.
Yeah.
Because that's a story that I haven't really seen. I can't think of a movie, maybe 13, but I haven't seen 13, so I can't speak to it.
I haven't seen that.
But a movie about the mother-daughter relationship from the mother's perspective, and the daughter is being, I mean, she's got to do like more exciting shit than what Lady Bird does in this movie, instead of just being like, what is she? I can't even remember what she is in the play. I want to say it's a tree, but it's probably not. That's just like the go-to.
I think it
might be a tree.
It also,
because that's tropey enough to be what it is.
Doesn't make it. This is going to sound real mean.
Say it.
But I think we all went to high school. It doesn't make any sense that the like weird outcast, like big girl gets the lead part. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah.
I'm like, am I remembering this correctly? I'm not saying she shouldn't come for me. I'm not saying she shouldn't, but I'm just saying that's not. Like, I was a fucking weirdo, and I auditioned for every play, and again, it doesn't have to be exact to my experience, but I auditioned for every fucking play and musical, and I didn't get it because the popular kids in my school also, like, were into theater, and so the popular kids got everything, because you know what? They were fucking beautiful.
Right.
And they were confident. Of course you want to put them on stage in your production of whatever the fuck.
We had a guy at my high school, he was, I remember even at like age 12 and 13, he had articles in like the Dallas Morning News and the Star Telegram written about him because he was a 12-year-old who sang like a 40-year-old man. He had a beautiful Johnny Cash-esque voice. He could play piano by ear.
Yeah.
And so they were like, look at this wonder child. And then he went to my high school and he was like, I'm going to try getting into musicals. And he became like the lead in Oklahoma after like his first year.
Right.
And he became the lead in Bye Bye Birdie. And everybody was like, oh my God, this guy, Patrick, wow. And now he's like a country music songwriter and singer. And he was on The Voice the first season. And everyone's like, yeah, of course. You're like a 14-year-old who looks like a 20-year-old who's going to be dropping panties left and right.
Right, yeah.
This is abnormal. Of course you're going to be the lead in everything.
Obviously.
Yeah.
It just... Also, what did she go to the NYU for? Did we ever figure that out? I'm sorry, if that's what the whole fucking movie is about, this like tension between you and your parents because you want to go to this school, like, what are you even going to it for?
I don't know. Art? She probably...
Really?
I don't know. She's probably... No, here's what's probably going to happen if there's a sequel to Lady Bird, which they're talking about making, by the way.
I can't stand it. I will shut it down.
It's probably going to be Lady Bird, just like 7th year senior, trying to figure out what's going to happen to her life, hasn't figured out whether she wants to go into visual art or ceramics. I don't know what she's going to be doing.
There's going to be a lot of really cool shots of the village, just like her walking around through Washington Square Park.
Yep, she's going to be
having
smoking
a coffee somewhere,
clove cigarettes, and giving a homeless guy her coffee that she just bought. And I don't know, she's probably going to go on a date with the homeless guy.
Wait, she does smoke a clove in Lady Bird.
She does?
Remember that?
Man,
She's like,
no,
why
I
does this
don't
taste
remember that.
weird? And then her friend's like, it's a clove. Really?
I just this, man.
Is that
there
what white kids in the suburbs do? Because I feel like not at all. That's
I knew the only I have never met anybody from the suburbs who smoked cloves.
Never.
I've met. Yeah, I don't know. What do you? You're a good writer. What do you think could have been done to? Is there anything that you would do differently in this movie?
I think it could have been more honest and more. It needed to be more vulnerable, and it. I feel like a lot of my writing when I'm sitting down and like writing. I think about, this sounds so corny, but my like training at Second City, and one of the things they tell you for scenes there is they're like, show us, don't tell us.
Right.
And I think that I kept thinking that during Lady Bird, because rather than having scenes where like they're building up frustration and like there's other ways to show frustration besides somebody turning around and being like, I'm frustrated with you, which you can say I'm frustrated with you, but every back and forth of dialogue was was, I feel this way, like psychologically, because you did this thing. And it's like, it was too much, you know?
Yeah. In a movie or TV show, you're allowed to be subtle.
Yeah.
You can't really, it's harder to be subtle on stage because you have to beat people over the head with it a little bit.
Right, because you're in a big giant room. Yeah.
Exactly. That's why you have to like project and make big gestures and stuff. You don't have to do that on film because it's intimate. It's smaller.
Yeah.
You're allowed to develop the stuff over time. It's not so quick. We got to get it out of there. I wish that it was more personal.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
And like Laurie Metcalf's character kind of at one point justifies all of her frustrations with Lady Bird by being like, well, your dad lost his job.
Mm-hmm.
But then we don't really see interactions with the dad. Like you would think if his character is who the mom is saying he is, and he's like the provider for the family, and this is all of his pride and joy is in providing for his family, then why aren't we seeing him more? Why aren't we seeing him upset about it? Why aren't we seeing like a serious conversation between him and Laurie Metcalf, or like
right?
And it also didn't make sense that she was like, when she came and talked to her, and she's like, you know, you need to iron your shirt because some of your friends are rich, and when she what'd she say? She didn't say they're rich. She was like, you know, their parents are in positions where they could hire your father for a job, but they won't if they think you're trash. First of all, that line felt like it didn't make any sense with the rest of Laurie Metcalf's character, because she didn't seem that, because that's a really harsh thing to say.
Yeah.
It was like a little bit beyond what I was like, what? I don't think she would say that. And secondly, like she had one friend that was like the rich, cool girl. The rest of her friends were fucking losers. Their dads probably worked at 7-Eleven or whatever. Like it didn't make any sense, because Laurie Metcalf also hadn't met that rich friend.
Right. She has no idea. She's probably just heard, oh, they live in these nice houses.
And the storyline with the gay kid, that also was like, it seemed like a caricature of what you think. That's like what I would think the gay experience is like. I don't fucking know. Like that's
yeah. It's like
he dated a girl and then she caught him making out with a boy in the bathroom. I'm like, is that? That seems
it's wacky.
So
boy.
oversimplified.
Man, she made out with a gay guy.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like it was supposed to be. Like I remember seeing. I feel like that scene was in the trailer. And I was just like, what? This is just like, what is this? Oh man. I would like to before we get out of here, I've been looking through some of the other choice bits of dialogue between
amazing.
Christine and Marion McPherson. This is, of course, as believable as it gets, guys. Lady Bird, why can't you say I look nice? Actually, here, let's do a dramatic reading of it together. All right.
Wait, where are you?
I'm right here. So you be Laurie Metcalf, and I'll be Lady Bird. Okay. Why can't you say I look nice?
I thought you didn't even care what I think.
I still want you to think I look good.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was telling you the truth. Do you want me to lie?
No, I mean, I just wish that you liked me.
Of course, I love you.
But do you like me?
Wah, wah, wah.
No Oscars. You got no Oscars for that.
That went on and on. I think they were like in a dressing room or something at that point. That didn't make sense to me either. I mean, so much of it didn't, but
this is the kind of conversation that you have. You don't even have it in your head with somebody. Like this is so bottom of the barrel, like I don't know what my mom thinks.
Yeah.
Well, maybe she thinks this, but probably I don't know. It doesn't even feel like this is exciting enough to imagine happening. Mm-hmm. And yet here we are.
Well, and also, again, another thing I don't buy is that they're so poor that they're saving all this money, but then Laurie Metcalf is also frustrated with her daughter that she doesn't look nicer. Mm-hmm. Her frustration would be with herself and her husband having lost his job.
That's why this should have been Laurie Metcalf's movie.
That works.
Yeah.
First of all, everything should be Laurie Metcalf's movie.
You're right. You're dead. I would love to see more Laurie Metcalf and things. I'd never really seen any of her work until this movie, and I was like, oh yeah, He killed it.
Oh, she's great.
And this movie is very hard to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Laurie Metcalf.
I feel like she must have been on set and she was talking to herself in her trailer beforehand. She's like, okay, just go out there and just do your dialogue. And what you can do later is you can cut it out and just make a reel of just you talking. And that's fine. And that you can have that. You have it forever. You just do a good job. You show up and you do a good job, Laurie. Like,
do you think?
Don't worry about the rest.
Do you think Laurie Metcalf saw this movie, the script come across her agent's desk or her desk or whatever? I don't know what Laurie Metcalf's life is like, but she saw this happen and she was like, "This is my chance to act my ass off and potentially get an award for it."
Yes. Can I add to this? I have some gossip.
Add.
Well, I don't know if this is good gossip. So a friend of mine works at a trade magazine, writes for one of the trade magazines.
Okay.
And we were talking about before the Oscars came up. One of the things he said is he was like, "Oh, Rami Malek is going to win the Oscar," and I was like, "Oh God, really?" Because I can't even talk about how bad that movie is.
I still haven't seen it. I gotta watch it one of these days.
Save your time.
Oh boy.
I only watched 30 minutes of Bohemian Rhapsody, and I'm a humongous Queen fan, and I was like, it's not supposed to be funny, but I was hysterically laughing, and I was like, I can't keep watching this. This is too stupid. Anyway, my friend that writes for the magazine told me he's going to win, and I was like, how do you figure? And he's like, well, because he's great in a room. He's like, all of the awards season bullshit, all of this is about like hiring the right PR person and then working every fucking room and going around the room and talking to everybody and making eye contact and being gregarious. And he's like, that's all it is. He's like, and he literally said in his example, he's like, this is why Laurie Metcalf isn't going to win, because he's like, she doesn't care about that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
She doesn't show up to all these events. She's not an ass kisser. She doesn't care about all the parties. And I'm like, oh, so now that you said that, I'm like, wait a minute.
Who won instead of Laurie Metcalf that year? I forget, because this was last year. I don't remember.
But I feel like knowing that, I'm like, oh, her reps were probably like, look, this you won't even have to try with this one. It's going to be an indie darling. And she's like, okay, fine.
It was Allison Janney for I, Tonya.
Mm-hmm. She was incredible.
Year. And Allison Janney also
and that movie was incredible.
But I can see Allison Janney being the kind of good in a room person.
And that's exactly what my friend said. He was like, Allison Janney does all the rounds. And like wherever her PR person is like, oh, you have to go to the W tonight. They're having a thing. Like she goes. And he's like, Laurie Metcalf will never go. And he was like, she's not a rude person, but she's just like, I don't need all that shit.
Man, Laurie Metcalf, I
feel like after this, Laurie's like, I'm done. Forget it. Forget it.
Just go back to theater, I guess. Win all the Tonys in the world, and then you'll get Gary Oldman into winning an Oscar one of these days.
Sure.
And get it for actually having this is your body of work. Now we're going to give you an award.
Maybe this is actually yours and my opportunity, Jay, to write something for Laurie Metcalf. Write her an Oscar vehicle.
Oh
Laurie, if you're out there and you're listening to this,
hire us, please. Actually, you know what? We'll come to you.
We'll come to you. What is your dream role? I feel like we could maybe contact her reps and be like, what's her dream role?
We probably could. We got our work cut out for us, I think, Lisa.
Yeah.
Hey, you were a great guest. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Echoing some feelings about Lady Bird.
I can't wait to be blacklisted for this.
Yeah. Oh man. I was in a Facebook. I've seen a Facebook thread for a comedy place that I frequent that by the way, I love. Mm-hmm. But there's a thread that came out that was like, don't say bad things about stuff, because people aren't going to like it. And it's like, have an opinion. I'm not saying Greta Gerwig sucks. Yeah, I like a lot of her work. Yeah. I think Frances Ha is a really fun movie. I didn't see that. I like her in Greenberg. I hear she's great in Mistress America. I haven't seen it, but I hear she's great in it. Sure. But this I think it's a really overrated movie. 100%. And very much. Well, we can be on the blacklist together. Yeah, I love it. Can't wait for that. Lisa, where can the listeners find you? If they want to come put torches and pitchforks for how much you hated this darling of a movie. I always say the best place to find me is either Instagram on Olympian Lisa Curry on Instagram and or my website lisacurry.net. I have my show dates and stuff up there. Cool. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. And if you like the podcast, leave a rating, subscribe, tell a friend, take the podcast survey. It's in the top of the show notes. And I think that's about it. Don't watch Lady Bird. If you haven't seen it, you're not missing anything, guys.
Just watch 8th grade. Call it a day.
Yeah, you're going to be better off that way. Lisa, thanks again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.